What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring all of us to think better, do better, smell better, and just feel better every damn day of our lives. And our Tuesday afternoon show, brought to you by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. You can go to gomuskox.com, get a 3 Seasons flannel right now, lighter, comfortable, perfect for those summer nights when you're out at the lake, around at the campfire, backyard, patio, whatever it might be. Just gets a little bit chilly. The 3 Seasons flannel from Muskox is here for you. Go muskox.com, and the Couch in the Roo promo code for $15 off a flannel. Caw 15. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Free Ubers.
What's up, buddy? Good to see you. It's been a minute.
Welcome back from Boston and Fenway Park, brother.
Thanks, man. Yeah, Boston was it was amazing. Thankfully, the weather held up for Sunday, and we got to go see Yankees and Red Sox. Got to cheer Yankees suck a couple times because, you know, you put some money on the game, you're all of a sudden you're a Red Sox fan, just like everyone else, right? So you can say Yankees suck. I don't like the Yankees. But anyway, Boston is awesome.
It brings new meaning to root for the home team when you put a little money on it, you know?
Always.
Yeah. No, Fenway is sweet. I know it's archaic in certain ways, but
that's what makes it beautiful,
perfect,
though.
Yeah, right. It's an old park.
There's a lot of archaic things in Boston, and it's okay. I mean, it's an amazing. I guess if you're used to going to Fenway, I can understand if you're getting sick of certain things. But I didn't see any troughs in the bathrooms or anything like that. But yeah, but Fenway is just a beautiful. It's a whole crazy kind of vibe. Is like, you know, Tiger Stadium's been gone for 25 years almost, and it's kind of, you get that kind of vibe again. So it was fun.
Yeah, no, my lasting memory of Fenway or of Boston is, like, you look at a map and they have what's called the T. It's like the L in Chicago, or it's, you know, the subway or whatever, the tube in New York or London. I mean, and you look at a map and you think, well, this is a ways apart. We're going to take it 2 stops. And Boston is such a small city. You wait 15 minutes for the T. You get on it. You go 2 stops. You can see where you were. You could have walked the quarter mile. That's my one advice.
Same thing with Ubers, is that you it takes like 40 minutes to get one spot where you can walk like 2.5 miles. If you can walk it, you should just do it.
Just do it. Well, we are going to dig into our hot takes and yours as we do every first of the week show. We've got Brendan Quinn on from The Athletic, and we're going to talk about the U.S. Open. He was in Los Angeles. And we'll just talk about LIV and the PGA and what he witnessed out in L.A. And
I missed the final round, but people were saying it was kind of boring.
It wasn't as exciting as it. Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't great. And what was interesting, it was on prime time. So once the U.S. soccer game started against Canada, I was out. You know, it was like, all right, I just kept.
Well, you have 2 somewhat TVs that you could put together.
This is the problem with streaming. Is it's a little tricky. Yeah, like the soccer game was on Paramount Plus. So you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it quite as easily. So, all right. But before we get to Quinn, we will jump into our hot takes, and then we will do him, and then we will come back with listener hot takes. Do you want to start us off, Jason?
Sure.
It is time for the Detroit Tigers gambling update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
So we're on the bet. The Tigers bet. We're off the Tigers bet. I was gone, but I came home last night, and I love the over. It was over. It was like 9 yesterday, and the Royals Tigers went over by a little bit there. But I think we could still bet the over-unders when they play the shitty teams. And Graham, June 26th through 29th, they're playing the Texas Rangers in Texas. I think there's an opportunity for a 3-game set there to kind of pounce because the Rangers are really good. They're good at home. They score a lot of runs. So I think the Tigers bet is still on for me. Over-unders, you can look at the over in certain games when they're playing shitty teams, right? And then I think the Rangers series, I think we can make some money.
It's series by series. It really is. And because now they're playing the Royals, you're not going to touch it.
So bad.
And the Royals have had the Tigers' number over the years, though. So even though they're horrible, you know they're going to win at least one of these games. There's only 2 left. There's no money. They're not going to sweep the Royals. They won yesterday. There's no money left to be made on that series. Stay the hell away from
Minnesota.
it.
I mean, the Central is so bad. You can't really even figure it out.
Right. You don't want to. If they're playing a Central team, stay away entirely. That's going to be our rule. And then, everything else will be series by series. Maybe you bet on them against the A's. Maybe you whatever. But the AL East, much of the AL West, there are opportunities, I still think, to make money against the Tigers. I think
we're still. I mean, people are sitting there. Are you guys still doing the Tigers?
It's not an everyday thing. It's a series by series thing.
I don't want to get too far away from it, though.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it yet.
They're playing a little bit better. I don't know. They're feisty.
But are they? They're playing shittier teams than they are. So, I mean, are they really playing great?
They were better than Minnesota, who's a 500 team, who's leading the division.
Barely.
So, but what I'm saying, though, that's leading the division. So stay the hell away from the Central is what I would say on the Tigers bet. All right. Let's talk some Michigan State football recruiting here.
Yay.
David Stone, 5-star defensive lineman, visiting this weekend reportedly. Likes MSU. MSU's been in on him for a long time. Said a lot of nice things about MSU. And I think it's okay. Like, we've had a lot of conversations on this show about how it is difficult for anybody to justifiably get excited about recruits and recruits committing because the odds that guy will pledge to you, or whatever it's called, strong lean, eventually sign, play, and make an impact without transferring, it seems like it's a lot to ask. And so the idea that somebody's just visiting or somebody's pledging and saying they're going to come, that doesn't seem like all that big a deal. I would say this, though. I think it's okay because the recruiting stuff is still important. It's still the player acquisition part of this whole thing. And if you can't have a little fun with that, then it's really going to be a slog. It's okay to get a little bit excited about as long as you sort of have it tempered and you understand. I think the key is you just understand it's different than before. It's still better to have a 5-star on your campus than not. It's still better to have commitments or whatever the fuck we're calling them than not. But as long as you just understand that doesn't mean they play for you. But there is such a thing to recruiting momentum. There is such a thing. You need to get these guys to say they're going to come before they sign at some point. And a 5-star is something other than a long snapper that Michigan State has not been able to get in the Mel Tucker era. And so I don't know what David Stone will decide, if he'll stay home at Oklahoma, or if he'll wind up saying he's coming to MSU, and then if he'll stick by MSU if they start out 3-3. It's a long way off. But people should be able to enjoy these things as long as...
But how can you enjoy it if you really don't know?
Well, it has to come with perspective. You cannot be on Twitter or anywhere else saying, this is a big get. No, it's not a get. It's not a get until they sign. But this is an important step, is okay to say. Don't go back to 2019 in terms of where your head is and what it means. It means something different now, but it doesn't mean it's not important. And that would be my take on that. I'm
just saying it's tough to get excited for recruiting when you preface everything with like, well, it's just not a commitment. I mean, I just want to wait. If you are a fan of recruiting, how can you sit there and take anything? Even if a player comes here and he gets into that whatever that 3-wheeled vehicle is that Tucker drives, I mean, then you go, oh, okay, then what? How long do I have to wait? Or if he says, well, I'm committing to Michigan State, goes on his social medias and does that, then you go, okay, but I still have to wait, right?
The whims of teenagers are always difficult.
And I don't blame them, by the way. I would. I'd be all over the place.
I committed to 4 different jobs out of college at 22. Like, you know what I mean? And only went to one.
It's nice to be wanted.
I backed out of several jobs I had committed to that I was supposed to start at. I get it. Like, at a certain age, and then you couple that with the fact that these kids are often entitled by the fact that people want them at an age that nobody should want you. And that adults are fawning over them like they matter. And they do. They do matter.
17 years old.
But that part of the thing that I guess I got a little Judd Heathcote in me in the sense that, he just could not kiss the ass of a 17-year-old. And there's nothing that drives me nuts more than an entitled 17-year-old
I mean, these guys, we talk about $95 million in some of the contract, but I think some of the coaches earn it.
Oh,
maybe not all of it, but I think they earn a lot for having to kiss not even the athlete, but the parents. I think the parents would be maybe almost worse.
It especially if the reason you're great as a 17-year-old is you hit the genetic lottery. If you're
Cassius jealous.
If you're Cassius Winston, though, like, you have earned a little bit of the ass kissing. You are a semi-athletic 6-foot dude who's turned yourself into a hell of a prospect. That takes work. That takes something that is different than somebody who is a defensive lineman who happens to, by God's gift, just be an Adonis, so to speak.
Well, Cassius had to wait for it, but I think,
You know what I mean? But coming out of high school, he was a big deal, though. He was a huge deal coming out of high school. That's a little different than. So what I mean is, if you're one of these entitled little pricks that happens to be great because mostly of the genetic lottery, you better treat everybody around you really well. Because you
just do that anyway.
You do that anyway.
It comes off good. People enjoy that.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
But
get away with a lot more.
But it is okay to. I think we put down this stuff. I think it's okay for people to pay attention and to feel something. It just shouldn't be what they felt 5 years ago when these sort of things happened. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. What is your second hot take?
When's the last time you've been to Pine Knob, Graham?
I've never been to Pine Knob.
You've never been to Pine Knob?
No.
Really? I love Pine Knob. I love going to concerts there. Last week after our last show, T and I went to Matchbox 20 at Pine Knob. Now, we left at 5 o'clock because that's when you get out of work and that's when you can travel to Pine Knob on a weekday to see a concert. We sat in traffic for 2 hours. We went 2 miles around the Pine Knob area, and it took us 2 hours to get in. We missed like part of the first Matchbox 20 song. So we were kind of pissed off, and I'm like, man, is this how Pine Knob is now? Because I've been coming here for about 20 years, and I know there's back ways, but the amount of people that were still in line when we were getting in, it was astonishing. Like, if you're running that far behind, usually you come into a concert, you get right in because everyone's already there. We went into the parking lot, and they don't charge for parking, and maybe they should, because there was cars parked all on the grass and cars just everywhere, because I think people are meeting at Pine Knob instead of, if we were going to a concert together, Graham, we would ride together, and of course there would be one car. But if there's no charge for parking, you go, okay, well, we'll just meet you there. And I don't know if that's what's happening. I know from what people have told me, Pine Knob has been bad. But the previous night at the Cure concert, people were talking about how they were waiting for 2 hours.
Yeah,
listen,
build another road. You got a venue that's been there forever. Why is there not another way in? That's not the back way. Why is there not another main way in? Why is this not solved?
You know what, though? There was another issue, too, is I don't know if there was enough police officers focusing traffic where it was supposed to go. Because where we were turning, it was a free-for-all because people didn't know that they had to get over in the far. Anyway, something needs to change, because here's the thing. I love going to concerts at Pine Knob, but if this is going to happen and it's reoccurring, and you know what, the smarminess of the vice president of marketing and communication for the venue, the 313 Presents, Kim Klein, it was absolutely, it really set you off after the fact, because I did see this article after we experienced it. And she said, because she talked about the Cure concert in this article on Metro Times. And Kim Klein said, "We're a professional group. We don't oversell." Because people are like, are you overselling this? Because there's a general admission for the grass section of it. And it's like, okay, I can understand. COVID hit everybody. Are you trying to get some extra money in? I just don't know the smarminess of it. And then her telling us, well, maybe you should try to check out the opening act. I mean, I would have loved to. We left 3 hours ahead of time. I figured that would be enough time to get from our house to Pine Knob. So basically what I'm saying is, Pine Knob, get it together. Because if you're not going to go through that every single time. Like, we're going to Dave Matthews, I think, in a week or 2 weeks. And if that's the same way, and I guess we just have to not go to Pine Knob anymore until they figure it out.
All right. Turn on my headphones just a little bit for this. I'm going to do two together because we need to get to Brendan Quinn and these work together. Matt Ishbia. He is like every other 45-year-old child who grew up in Michigan. He's been duped by Isiah Thomas's cunning smile and those bad boys memories. Like it is,
does Thomas really? Does he have a say?
Yes, he is the one apparently from reporting this. The Chris Paul trade for Bradley Beal had nothing to do with James Jones, the current GM there. It's because it is Isiah and Ishbia who wanted the Bradley Beal trade. Now, I think it was probably the right trade. They're going to go into all this second apron financial stuff eventually, and they're going to get hit for it. But in terms of making the best roster they can before those financial penalties and trying to do something with the situation they're in, I think it was probably the right move. But Isiah has his ear. Isiah is eventually just going to be the GM there. And Isiah already has a major influence. You see Isiah with Ishbia in New York at the Sweet 16 game. You see him all the time. And I get it. I've told you, if I had a child and Isiah asked me for that child, I would give Isiah that child if he smiled at me. Isaiah's smile, if you were born around the time that you, me, and Matt Ishbia were born in this state, Isiah Thomas can do no wrong. But
on the court.
On the court. But I would be careful, Matt Ishbia, because you are a smart businessman. But even the smartest among us, even the savviest, even those who work hard, Isiah will fuck you up if you're not careful.
Well, you and I would have given him a position. I don't think Ishbia has given him a position with the Phoenix Suns. I think he's just kind of like, hey, come hang out with me and tell me what you think, right? Maybe that's why. Because we would have Isiah around. I mean, but would you give him?
If I get Isiah around, he would be running my life, and I would do everything wrong. I would be conning you out of things. I would be absolutely a con man if I had Isiah Thomas. I'm just saying, if things go south for Ishbia and Phoenix, just watch how close Isiah Thomas is to him, and a little bit of a dangerous thing. And I love Isiah Thomas. Again, would give my firstborn, would give anything Isiah Thomas asked, would give him my mother's house and tell my mom, you're going to have to sleep in a tent. I don't know what to tell you. Isiah asked for it. But, again, it's a little risky. I'm going to stay here on this theme. I think there's a decent chance Cassius Winston is back in the NBA this coming year. And I haven't talked to Cassius, haven't talked to anybody about this. He played last year at Bayern Munich, big club, 1-year deal. But when I talked to Cassius a year ago, one of the things he talked about when he had just played his rookie year, a lot of it with the Washington Wizards, was how close he and Bradley Beal were. His quote was, "We just clicked." Bradley Beal likes having him around. Matt Ishbia is a Michigan State guy. The Suns are going to have to fill out that roster with inexpensive players, several on the league minimum. Cassius has been honing his game at the pro level. You're talking about a third point guard on a roster, short on point guards. It makes a lot of sense. I just think if Cassius Winston is a 1-year deal as well, so he's got that opportunity over at Bayern Munich. He's got the relationship with Bradley Beal. Ishbia obviously probably loves Cassius Winston. He loves Isiah Thomas still. Who knows? He might start Cassius Winston, given the way he's treating Isiah Thomas right now.
And if you're going to fill out your bench, like you said, why not have a guy like Cassius? You see some of the guys that get on an NBA court, you're like, okay.
And I think he's good enough to be your third point guard in the NBA. Maybe he'll eventually be better than that. I don't know athletically if he will or not, but he can run an offense, and I think he'd be fine there. I would not be surprised to see that happen. What is your third hot take,
I
Jason?
got nothing. We can get to Quinn.
Really? No Carmen Elentra's hot? Nothing?
No.
Nothing of those things? All right, we will take a really quick break. When we come back, Brendan Quinn from The Athletic, Couch of the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Muskox Quality Flannels.
Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American-Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. If you're looking forward to cool summer nights at the lake or backyard gatherings, make Muskox's spring and summer flannel collection part of your summer experience. Muskox's lighter weight 3 Seasons flannel is perfect for warmer weather without sacrificing Muskox's noted softness or high quality. Plus, Muskox donates 10% of every $100 purchased to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Visit GoMuskox.com to find the absolute best flannel for you and use our promo code CAW15 for $15 off your flannel order. Trust us, you've never felt more comfortable than you will in a Muskox flannel. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, and our Tuesday afternoon show brought to you by Muskox Quality Flannels. Pleased now to be joined by reluctant national college basketball writer and senior golf writer for The Athletic, Brendan Quinn, fresh back from L.A. and the U.S. Open. Brendan, how you doing, man?
I'm great, Graham. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. It's been a while since we talked.
Yeah.
By the way, your second your nut graph of your piece on Rory it was fantastic. So the piece that you wrote off the final day, Rory McIlroy and another long walk to nowhere, which is also a very good headline. Do you write your own headlines?
Much of the time, probably 50%. I wrote this one.
Yeah, I figured that. It sounded like a Brendan Quinn headline. It was not, I was like, no editor pulled that off. But this is the nut graph. This is McIlroy's world. He exists in the interplanetary void between the greatest players in history and most underachieving players in history. Can one really be both? Who knows? But McIlroy has spent much of his adult life testing the theory. Maybe this day would be different, though, and the final walk would go somewhere. Fantastic, by the way. Just really good. All right, before we get to him, this L.A. experience for the U.S. Open, where the crowds were smaller based on the amount of actual general admission tickets that were available from everything that I read, and the course was a little different. Did you like it? Do you think it was a decent vibe? Was it worth returning to? There are a lot of mixed reviews.
So the course itself, I thought, was awesome. A great test of golf. You know, everyone made such a big deal on Thursday about the low scores, and I get it. I think sometimes the U.S. Open can be victim of its own advertising for the last 25 years when it wanted to be known as the toughest test in golf. And, we're going to watch the best players in the world, shoot 2 over and 3 over, and it's going to be a bloodbath. So that's all well and good, and it should be a great test, but, it doesn't necessarily need to be bloody. And really, these guys are so good and so long, and the equipment is so good and so long that really, to get results like that, you'd have to absolutely trick up the course to absurd degrees where, you're just putting pins on side hills and just making it, kind of nonsense, or growing the rough to just absurd levels, or creating unfair runoffs and things like that. So I thought the course was a great test. The conditions on Thursday just couldn't have been more benign. And, to make a place like LACC as a course a great test, you're going to expect some wind, and you're going to hope that it's dry. And instead, they got a little bit of rain, and then the marine layer came in and held in all the moisture, and it was soft. And those guys, they kind of picked it apart. So the rest of the 3 days, though, you saw more and more where, par was a good number, but the tournament itself was going to be determined by birdies and bogeys. And that's good golf, in my opinion. And a lot of the holes showed great variance in decision-making and things like that, which made for great entertainment. Number 6 is going to go down as one of my favorite holes anywhere in golf. It's just awesome. It kind of checks all the boxes in terms of why it's a great game, from the decision-making and angles and how one hole can be completely different over the course of 4 days. It was just so cool to be out there. I spent hours watching that course, that hole from various spots. So enough on that, though. To your bigger question, the vibe sucked. And, I'm an East Coast guy, and I'm kind of inherently not an LA type of dude. But there were just an amazing amount of people there, so completely disinterested in the actual event that they were attending. I forget the exact numbers. Joel Beal, who's a great guy, we actually played golf yesterday. He, in Golf Digest, wrote a story with the actual numbers. It was like 22,000 a day, and 14,000 of those seats went to hospitality. And then of the ones that didn't, or a large majority of those were bought up by the club to kind of just give out to its own people. So the vibe sucked, and especially followed Boston last year, where Brookline also had a small footprint, but, it was a little bit more of a kind of golf, as working class as golf can be. It was like more of a working class crowd. There was a bunch of people there for golf and to yell and to have fun. And this was an Instagram Open. Everyone there was only there to take pictures, to put on Instagram, to say that they were at the golf thing that was at LA Country Club. There were some people there who enjoyed the play and wanted to cheer for Rory or whoever, but there was no juice. There was no roars. It was very, very lame. And, a lot of people gave the USGA grief for it, and that's fine. But, this deal was also made in 2014. Like, the people who signed this deal for the USGA are long gone. That was Mike Davis. I think Mike Wan is only in his third year as CEO now. So, it's kind of one of those things like, where do you throw the arrows? Well, there's really no one to, other than just kind of how LA is. You got an LA U.S. Open is what it was.
Do you think they'll do it again?
I don't. I wouldn't be surprised if that 2039 deal goes by the wayside. I don't really think the LACC members liked kind of opening their doors for the most part. I think a lot of people wanted to try it, to put the course up to the test. And after Thursday, people were just irate that this course was being used to set U.S. Open records. And I don't really think that they appreciated the fact that it's my understanding that USGA was basically trying to produce more tickets on Sunday to get people on the ground, and the line, the middle of the 18th hole, was banned just because it looked so bad on TV and it had so little energy on the ground. So I think from both sides, I think it was worth trying because of the golf course and just the design. And it is one of the top 25 courses in the country, and that's what the U.S. Open is supposed to be. But the U.S. Open is also our national championship. It's not the Masters. It's a different field. You and I can qualify for the U.S. Open. That's it. So, it should be a championship of the people for the people, and LACC is just not that vibe at all. LA is not that vibe. You need it to kind of match the purpose of the event.
The 18th, when Wyndham Clark had his final putt to win, and they were holding up so they could bring people around and try to create atmosphere. It was just like, oh, guys, this is bad. Think if he had missed it, I would have, obviously it wasn't that hard a putt, but if it had been a little bit more difficult putt and there'd been, the chance that he could really blow that might have been a big deal that that they had paused it to bring people and noise around him and all that stuff. Rory, so it would have been, after everything that just happened with the PGA and LIV, if he could have won the U.S. Open, would have been cool. Would have been a great story. And I like the way you put it. He's just he's obviously a great golfer, still very much in the prime of his career. He's going to have more opportunities. So eventually, you figure he gets a couple more of these. What's your take on and obviously you wrote a really good piece on this and where his career's headed?
He's 34. now. He does have, I think he will get another one. His career is also going to be one of a lot of what ifs. It's funny, a criticism, a lot of people came sniping at me for the piece I wrote, being like, Jack Nicklaus finished runner-up in 20 majors. Like these things happen. You gotta be patient. They don't just happen. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, yeah, Jack Nicklaus also won 18 of them.
Yeah.
So that the runner-up number is like, it's one of the great records in golf. It just shows just how unbelievably great and consistent he was. But he was a winner. He went out and he won when he was in contention just as much as he finished second. And that's just not what you're getting from McIlroy. And he hasn't won since 2014, and the results just don't match the talent. And you can dissect why. Maybe he just doesn't have the wedge game to win major championships on the hardest courses. And that showed this week. Maybe the biggest shot that he had was that wedge that came up short when he needed it most. And it ended up being an embedded lie, and he got free relief, and even his chip wasn't very good. So, maybe it's that. Maybe it's mental. But his length and his power and his just quality of play, it just warrants more than 4 majors. And maybe once he wins one, it'll open the floodgates and he'll go on a tear and grab a couple. But right now, I asked him after the match after the tournament, if he feels like is still able to play freely in a final round situation like that. Because what you saw, like Wyndham Clark was just out there trying to win that tournament and just trying to make the shots to win the day after having never finished better than T75 in a major. And McIlroy, I think especially on the greens, was putting not to lose. And, a lot of his putts were coming up short. And then suddenly he got to 16, 17, 18 and realized, like, oh, crap, I better try to win this thing. And now he was actually putting the ball past the hole, So what he had, he didn't make a putt over 7 feet from the 6th hole on Saturday on. That's crazy. Had 5 birdies in the front 9 on Thursday and 6 birdies on the front 9 on Friday, and then over the weekend had 3 total. So he said, yes, I'm playing freely and all of that. I don't know if I totally buy that, but we'll see. I do think he will win another one. I think it'll be good for golf when that happens. You want your best players to be producing results, and he should be right in the mix there with Scotty Scheffler and John Rahm as one of the best players in the world, but he also needs to win a major. So in terms of the context of history, he seems like a generational player. And he is a generational talent, but, 4 majors is really good, but he just leaves you wanting more.
You said you played yesterday. Did you play the course?
No, I played Riviera yesterday.
Okay.
Not bad.
Yeah, no, still, life doesn't totally suck. All right, so going into the U.S. Open, right, I thought this was going to be all about, LIV and the PGA, and that really wasn't maybe it just didn't feel like a huge narrative this week, and it often doesn't in the majors entirely. I mean, we got through that Masters. It was sort of a little awkward at times, but like the majors were always going to be a coming together of because they're just not affiliated with the tour. I'm wondering, what was the vibe out there? And I mean, there's still, it's sort of been announced as happening, but there's still antitrust issues. Like this may not actually still happen. What was the vibe out there, and what's your sense of where things are and where things are headed?
So early in the week, last week, it was definitely kind of still at the front of the conversation, even if it was just around, like on the periphery, right? There were only so many questions you could ask the players because everyone was just saying the same thing. They all said, I know as much as you do, one after another after another. So it got to the point where you just kind of stop asking about it. But yeah, there was still, amongst everyone though, it was, still trying to unpack everything that's happening, and the formation of this new company between the tour, the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, and the European Tour, the BP World Tour. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that there is a certain, and I use this word tongue in cheek, but I do think there's a certain kind of sanctity to the majors where it's like, all right, once the first tee shot's in the air, right? Whatever else is going on does not matter. It is about the tournament. It's about the course it's being played on. It's about the players trying to, who post the best score over 72 holes, and that is the focus. So once we got to, I guess, midweek last week, everyone was talking about two things: the course, and then when news of Jay Monahan having to step away for health reasons from daily operations at the tour, that certainly raised a lot of eyes and created a lot of speculation. But then once the tournament began, it was about the tournament.
Yeah. If your best guess, and this is just, again, nobody knows, but maybe a few people, and even those people may not know exactly where this is headed. Say 2 years from now, what does this all look like?
2 years from now, really, I think the tour is going to look a lot like it does right now. Maybe there's a Saudi swing in the next couple of years that's kind of built into the schedule. I think they're going to make efforts to globalize their product a little bit more, and look at the success that LIV had in Australia and try to put some attention there. I think LIV is done. Jay Monahan now basically decides what happens to LIV. They're going to look at the books. They're going to look at the profit. I think they'll take some aspects from it, maybe some of the team aspects and things like that. But I think LIV as a product probably plays out next summer. Maybe I would put that at 50-50, and I can't see it going beyond that. And I don't know how it's going to work with the equity that those guys had in the teams and all that crap. No idea. But I think LIV as it is will not exist. I think there will be a hard road back for those players who left. I'm not sure if that means fiscally, if they're asked to give some of the money back. I don't know if it's qualifying-wise. I don't know. Maybe there's lawyers, but I don't think it's going to be an open-door policy to allow those guys back to just act like nothing happened. I don't think it'll be that clean and easy. Of this new entity that's being made, that the $2 to $3 billion from the Public Investment Fund is going into, where it's going to basically fill the coffers of the commercial interests of the PGA Tour and the European Tour, and for now, LIV. I think I'll be really curious to see how that money is used. I'll be curious to see if those guys who stayed, primarily a Rory McIlroy, a John Rahm, Tiger Woods, are they getting a taste of that? I don't know. But however this new company makes money is going to be what I'm most curious to see, because the Public Investment Fund did not just throw $2 or $3 billion into the pot just for the hell of it. The tour will have a controlling interest on the board that is created and is right now guaranteed to have more seats on that board, and Jay Monahan is overseeing it. But there's got to be an end game, and that's what, frankly, I'm working to find out right now in the story. But that, to me, is the big outline question.
Well, we'll look forward to that story and keep reading you at The Athletic. And I will save a seat for you on the bleachers at the Moneyball Pro-Am, and you can sit there and sweat it out with me in the coming month.
I might just come up one day for the – when does Moneyball?
Starts the 29th of June. A week from Thursday.
I might just come up for maybe a round of golf up there and catch the money ball that night for old time's sake.
That sounds tremendous. Yeah. Well,
Let's get the band together.
That sounds amazing. Well, I hope that comes to be. I'm glad you're doing well. And appreciate you taking the time, man.
Thank you, my friend. See you, Graham.
Sounds good. That is Brendan Quinn from The Athletic. You can read his stuff, obviously, at The Athletic. Some great coverage of golf and obviously college basketball. Anything you took from that, Jason?
Getting the band back together. Watch out, Lansing. Am I right? I think the L.A. Country Club, it was a cool look on TV. The first round was kind of wild, but, I mean, there's 1,000 rules that you have to adhere by if you are a member. $250,000, like the initial fee, and then they hand you a book of 1,000 rules. Like, I thought the point of being a rich person was like to not have rules, and you have to pay attention to 1,000. I mean, is it really that great?
The odds that you would have broken 2 or 3 of them are pretty high.
I would have broken all 100, I believe, but I'm saying I wouldn't have paid $250,000 to see that, and then everyone's uptight and they don't want majors there. I mean, I just didn't get it, but
no,
I'll never be there again, according to Quinn.
Yeah, doesn't sound like it. And it did look cool on TV. And part of that, I did feel
62 rounds though in the first round after there's been one in the history of majors.
Not great. And then the last thing with Wyndham Clark, when on the 18th, when they're like trying to manufacture atmosphere for the final putt, and it's not just automatically there, that sucked. That was
why did they wait so long? If you want to manufacture it, I mean, it's L.A. Hire some actors and have them come in like they do with the NFL draft.
It was a cool moment, though. I loved. First of all, I don't know why his sister hadn't seen him play before. That what kind of bad sister does that? But
Clark.
Yeah, but it was cool to see his whole family around and embrace and friends and everybody there. That was a great moment, and it was a great moment for him, and I enjoyed it. I just wish, like, the roar of the 18 is one of the cooler things on Sunday in a major. Yeah. Right, it's really sweet,
especially if Tiger's involved.
Well, especially if Tiger's involved, but
insane.
But I think that's an important part of the atmosphere that was missing. All right, we will take another quick break. We come back, we will dig into your hot takes. Couch in the Rue, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and our friends at Muskox High Quality Flannels.
Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Visit firekeeperscasino.com to download the mobile app today. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com.
Find our live stream, podcast archives, as well as show, affiliate, and sponsorship information at our website, spotlightmediastudios.com.
Couch in the Rue, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, which has amazing deals every day. And if you go to skymint.com, you can sign up for their email so you know what's coming, like Bubble Hash infused pre-rolls dropping on the 21st. Which is tomorrow, which is, depending on when you're listening to this, is Wednesday. All sorts of cool deals. Skymint locations throughout Michigan. Go to skymint.com for location information and daily specials. And our Tuesday afternoon show also brought to you by our friends at Muskox quality flannels. Go to gomuskox.com to get yourself a flannel today. Never too early to order for the fall. But also, muskox flannels are fantastic for summer evenings. And just last week, had a couple friends out in the back patio, a little chilly, a little bit of fire going. Small fire, of course, because there's a no-burn policy in Michigan. So we'll fix that in post. And was sitting there in my muskox flannel, as comfortable and cozy as could be. Go to gomuskox.com, and you can use the promo code CAW15 for $15 off. You ready to dig into these listener hot
God,
takes?
I hope so. Eric Schultz up first. Number 1, if MSU wins 5 games this year, we are 11 out of 10 in concern level. Coaches who eventually do what we're paying Tuck to do don't have 3 losing seasons in 4 years. It doesn't happen. 2, if MSU misses bowl games in 2023 and 24, Tuck shouldn't and won't see 2025. If he somehow does and it's bad again, neither he nor Haller will be here in 26. 3, neither of the scenarios in my first 2 takes will happen. MSU will get to 6 wins this season and look competent.
I think competence is the key.
But 5 wins, and we're 11 out of 10 concerned, but 6 wins as long as you look competent?
Well, Eric and I disagree here on what it – like you have – to me, I think of this like Mark D'Antonio 2008. Now, they had a good team in 2008. It was 2009 they fell off a little bit. But in terms of where the recruiting classes are, it's somewhere between 2008 and 2009, just where he was hired with then the Zoom class. But in terms of in-person classes, that's where you really are. You're Mark D'Antonio's second full season. And so that's just how I sort of view it in terms of expectations of talent. But competence is different. And one of the things D'Antonio and his staff really early were competent in running the program. And coming out of the John L. Smith era, that was majorly important. And so maximizing what you have. The schedule is tough enough this year. Like, I'll give you an example of where this season hits trouble. Maryland winds up turning a corner and being pretty good. And it's early in the year before they usually fall off. Like, that's a tough early game. Like, you could lose a game like that people are, I guarantee right now, are thinking as a win. And all of a sudden, you start looking at the schedule, and getting to 6 gets really difficult.
Bo McJunkin's next. Number 1, I'm all for college athletes getting paid, but after some that want to boycott the NCAA football video game because it's only $500. It's clear that it will never be enough, and players will always just be seeking more, not sustainable. 2, Peyton Thorne and Keon Coleman ruined any goodwill they had with MSU fans by doing their interviews after leaving. And 3, MSU football fans should look beyond the record this year. The team could be a lot better, and the record may not improve much of the schedule, but who am I kidding? People already want Mel fired without his first in-person class being draft eligible, so that won't happen.
I don't think that many people want Mel Tucker fired. If they are, they're impatient and they don't get it. I think even people who are worried, that are concerned, and I think it's too early to even be concerned. I think it's not too early to say, he needs to still prove himself, that he hasn't shown. I mean, that 1 year was terrific, and they looked both competent, and they maximized who they were, and they had a great player, and they got the most out of that, and there were a lot of good things. But I think it's still a situation where they've got to prove themselves. To the Peyton Thorne, Keon Coleman deal.
What did Thorne say, by the way? It doesn't come close to what Keon Coleman said.
No, and it was just him talking about there were a lot of different things and reasons that he left, and that he didn't plan to leave until like a week before it. Is
that bad? Is that a bad thing to say?
I think Peyton Thorne in time will be viewed decently. Now, he'll never be like a beloved player, but he was the quarterback of a team that was beloved. He, was there for quite a long time, and he ultimately gave way to the quarterbacks that people wanted to start anyway, right? Or a lot of the most vocal segment of the fan base, for better or worse. Keon Coleman will struggle because he was more beloved, especially because that day against Michigan on the basketball court and some of the promise he had. But it is hard to come back from saying, I did my 2-year sentence up there.
Yeah.
And then they never, he is an example of a guy you put a lot into, and the year that's supposed to be your biggest performance year, when you become a star, you go somewhere else. And so
I don't think many people have a problem with what Keon Coleman did, just what he said about the 2-year sentence thing, right? Jojo. Number one, we talk about it too much, but Tucker really has lost momentum, and it starts with how underwhelming the 2022 campaign was. It cost us recruits and buzz and really shifted the spotlight to Harbaugh, who, unfortunately, is crushing it. Number 2 recruiting class, back-to-back college football playoffs. 2, not Tuck's fault. Historically, we've been out-recruited at offense and D-line. We've had some solid guys, Calhoun and Conklin, but haven't developed difference makers consistently. Seeing a recruit pick Minnesota over us and Wisconsin and Michigan and stay competitive due to line strength reinforces this. 3, how Bilbo's, with all the Lord in the Ring fans out there, isn't a bigger brand or chain baffles me. Let's buy it and expand, Graham.
My wife would be all about this. Bilbo's is her favorite pizza in Calumet. Like, she's driving back from a couple days working in Chicago last week, stops at Bilbo's in Kalamazoo, brings home pizza. Like, that's how it's a childhood favorite for her and all that stuff. Because she was born and raised in Kalamazoo. We did not meet, by the way. I don't know people. We did not meet when I was.
Really take this Kalamazoo thing seriously.
Well, I just want. There's a little bit of an age difference between us, and at the beginning it would have been a little weird if we had met in Kalamazoo. I just want to make that. I don't know if
she would have been underage. You would have coached her soccer team.
No, but she was a senior in high school when I took the job in Kalamazoo. That's all I'm saying. So I was like 25. It was
still legal technically, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It's 8 years apart. Anyway, not that big a deal. We'll fix that in post. Jeez, that's awful. She started listening to this show from time to time too, which is actually a little. It's most concerning. Okay, let's go to a couple things. Losing people to Minnesota. Minnesota's got a good program right now, and yes, if you're Michigan State, you want to be a bigger brand than Minnesota. What I've never understood though is why Michigan State, modern Michigan State, and D'Antonio didn't get this either, isn't a destination for maulers on the offensive line. Like, it feels like it should be. It used to be, even in the days when Michigan State was up and down, Michigan State would beat you up physically up front. And that's an identity that if somehow Michigan State can get back, it would really, really help take that next step. And they haven't been able to do it.
Mike Scott next. Number 1. Matt Ishbia should just let his GM run his team. What are they supposed to do with 2 starting shooting guards who really can't play the points or the 3? 2, I'm 500% more looking forward to the Lions and MSU football this year. And 3, Vegas must have cleaned up on the U.S. Open.
So just to be clear, though, Devin Booker, the Suns' numbers with Devin Booker running the point last year were better than they were running with Chris Paul or Cameron Payne. So he was their most efficient offensive point guard last year when he had the ball and he was running the offense, and the other 2 weren't on the floor. So Devin Booker is going to be in key moments their primary point guard, and I think the last year showed that. But
can those 3 coexist? Like, would you rather have Denver's situation? Like, I would rather have Denver's situation than Phoenix right now.
But how do you get to Denver's situation? Jokic is Jokic. There aren't that many guys. I mean, how do you get that
By
guy?
building off 2 guys and having quality role players, younger guys that you draft with, I guess. I don't know. I mean, we've seen the big 3 kind of like Brooklyn with Durant, kind of not where I know it's Kyrie Irving's in the mix, but.
And this is the last one ever, because this is getting in under before the new CBA takes place and the second apron really hits you. And the cost of, like, there's so many penalties for doing what they're doing soon.
Well, Golden State paid a shit ton of money to win those.
And but now it's going to get worse. Like, Golden State's going to have major problems, but at least, to have guys on super maxes and late in their careers as these guys are, as much as they're making, and have 4 of them making max money, really, with DeAndre Ayton. I think he's making close to max money if he's not. It's just
but he's gone, right?
They're paying. I don't know. I mean, it depends. Maybe they get back some stuff for him, but I don't know what market there is for him. Like, where's he going to go? I mean, that's the thing. There's not a huge market for some of these guys. Everybody thinks there's. It's just that easy. I don't know where he winds up. Interesting. 500% more looking forward to the Lions and MSU football this year. Do you think most people who are, you're more of a Lions guy, but if you think most people who are kind of 50-50 on those 2 things are more looking forward to the Lions?
I think people are saying that just because they know deep down MSU might not be good this year, so they're saying, yeah. But you want Michigan State to do well. right? I mean, if Michigan State was, everyone was talking about 10 wins, I think people would be half and half, but you have to be more excited. And by the way, Mike, Vegas cleans up on every golf tournament, not just the U.S. Open.
I know. I had at the end. I had Fowler. I had Rory.
You almost want to take Clark on the 18th just so to say you hit one.
Yeah, I did not hit Clark.
Minus 9,000 or something. Some dude next. Number 1, the Muskox song is incredible. 2, you can't trust the internet, but it looks like Tuck's salary is tied for 5th with 4 other dudes. In another 2 years, he'll be simply in the top 20 unless he earns a raise by winning. Hopefully the program will also be a top 20 to match. And if he's failing in a few years, he'll be gone. The point is that the MSU contract is what MSU needed to do at the time. And if they fire Tuck, they'll have to do the same thing again, simply to compete. 3, I know it's all about money, but with a 12-team playoff and a completely unbalanced schedule, why bother to have Big Ten championship football game at all? There are years where you will definitely not have matchup of the best teams, and it will probably just hurt the seeding of the loser. In a 12-team playoff, seeding will matter.
Some dude wins our hot takes of the day, and we'll get to choose between a gift card from Front 43 and Cask & Company, Midtown Brewing Company here in downtown Lansing, and Groovy Donuts. These are good. A couple things. With Mel Tucker's salary, I think it's sort of like the NBA contracts when you see the salary cap expand and you see where Mel Tucker will be within a year or two. I totally agree with this. He will be a top 15, top 20 salary. But ultimately, that's what Michigan State wanted. They were paying for potential. I still think to this day, I wrote a column after Mel Tucker was paid, that you were paying to avoid regret. It would be interesting if Nick Saban didn't happen to MSU. If those moments where it felt like that guy got away and then look what he did, and then one of his proteges and a guy he recommends takes the job, has this amazing second season, based on all the information at hand, you pay the guy. And based on the amount of money football brings into Michigan State University and pays for a lot of other things, you pay the guy. Will he prove to be worth it over time? That's very much still to be determined. The length of the contract that's guaranteed is maybe my only qualm with it. And more of it is under Michigan State than the donors than we realized before the Freep got a hold of it. It's like $71 million of the $95 million is owed by Michigan State. But that's fine if he spends the time there, or if he's gone without owing the end of it. If you wind up paying the final 5 years to him and he's not coaching you, then it's a problem. The length of the contract is my only issue with it. The amount of money, not at all. And to the point on the championships, Big Ten championships and conference championships, I actually agree. I don't know that you need the championship game now that you have 14 teams. Maybe you just you're not going to play everybody an extra game, but you need every other league to stop doing that too. So you're at a balanced level for those teams probably. It might be beneficial, but it'll never happen because there's so much money involved, and that's why the thing was created in the first place.
Ken Chu next. The U.S. Open should be a prestigious enough golf tournament that they could turn off the damn leaf blower during the broadcast.
I didn't hear the leaf blower, but that's not great. It's like somebody's mowing their lawn or blowing leaves somewhere. Yeah. Well, that's the problem with having a small crowd. And then the crowd was weird at the end when Wyndham was going to take that final putt. They wouldn't shut up. Like there were nothing. There were like not enough of them, and then they'd all moved them close by, and then it was like they were all. It was like being in a baseball game. It was just weird. It was I didn't like that part of it.
Professor next. Number 1, Father's Day is overrated. Golf course is full. Cheesy jokes about New Balance shoes. Facebook flooded with family photos and the greatest dad ever posts. Hashtag Rube's child-free lifestyle is more appealing every day. Bonus. It is criminal that you can't buy Groovy Donuts at MSU home games.
Groovy Donuts would be an amazing addition to the to Spartan Stadium or to Breslin Center. Although Breslin, that's a big commitment. That's a lot of games, and they'd want them to be fresh. But Saturdays, Spartan Stadium would work. I wouldn't be stunned if at some point Groovy Donuts are at Spartan Stadium. It fits more in their weekly calendar, and it would be those things would be hot. It would be outstanding. Father's Day overrated. Yes
Sure.
or no?
I don't know.
You're not,
I don't celebrate, so
Yeah, me and you aren't. Me and you aren't dads. So
I don't have a dad to celebrate it with, really. So what are you gonna do?
So yeah, no, it's I don't know. I mean, it feels like it. I have
It's rated properly, I think.
Yeah, and I have friends who really make it their day of the year. Like I have a buddy whose wife and he and his wife, like they make Mother's Day and Father's Day like the two biggest days of the year. Nothing gets in the way. Like I think he may have even like rented a bounce house once for himself on Father's Day. Like it is a big freaking day, and so if you can do something cool with your family and it becomes a big day, I think it's to each their own. I agree with some of the stuff being inconvenient. Golf courses being full, some of the stuff you like to do. It's sort of like Mother's Day with a restaurant. Do we have to have every restaurant hard to get into?
Andrew Gauthier next. Number 1, Wyndham Clark will either win at least 5 majors or never win another one. 2, Rory will win at the British this year. And 3, it's win or bust for the Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes team over the next few years. Not sure how many more times I can get as hyped as I am now for the Lions.
Oh, Andrew, you got many more in you. You're young. Just ask Jason.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
You can go from being dead inside to being happy to dead inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because ultimately with the Lions just they have us. Like if the Lions go 6-10 this year, it will crush Jason. It'll crush many people. But if the year after that they go 12-5, everybody will be back on board.
But I'm preparing myself mentally for 6 wins, so I'm used to. That's why I'm trying to kind of back off all of the preseason hype and stuff.
No,
because that's what I used to do like 14 years ago. Is get super excited for the season and then just get shit on all season long.
I mean, look,
I can't do it anymore.
13-year-old Graham threw a chair in his parents' dining room after the Lions lost to the Bears in '93. I mean, I would just.
And Elizabeth was in her crib.
Yeah. She was in elementary school.
Closer. Trains and planes next. Number 1, the final round of the U.S. Open was a snooze fest. 2, I'd rather take a fully swung putter to the shin than have to watch Wyndham's go through one more putting ritual. Hit it already. And 3, Hard Knocks reboot for the Lions would be fantastic.
Do you want the Lions on Hard Knocks again?
Sure.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it last year, but I mean, what I don't understand is how the NFL can't just tell these teams to do it.
Well, they can. They're like 4 of them they can tell. They're just hoping to get somebody to agree with it. At some point, it's your turn. Like, and I think I can't remember what the 4 teams are, but there are 4 teams that HBO can do it. It's just you'd rather somebody.
I'm surprised that's a
volunteers.
rule though, because the NFL runs everything, and they would want the story that they're But the Lions would be a good match again.
And
I think.
Here's the other reason I think the Lions are a good match. Sometimes Hard Knocks like ruins a season, right? That was the old joke. But the Lions kind of got through that last year. They had a great year.
The start wasn't great.
No, but ultimately it did not ruin their year. It was, and they're used to it too. So maybe the cameras wouldn't be a huge inconvenience. I don't know. I would love to see it.
Yeah. Sunshine Spartan number 1. Ricky Fowler will never win a major. 2, MSU football will be better than we expected. 9-3. And 3, the beach is a great idea until you get there. I'm still finding sand. Plus, it leaves your car a mess.
The beach can be overrated. Can be underrated. Can be overrated. Can be a lot of different things.
It's super overrated. Like, how long should you stay at a beach?
What?
How long should you hang out, though? That's my issue with it. I like the beach. I like hanging out at a pool. It's the all-day adventure I don't want to be a part of.
To me, you have to
2
be
hours.
prepared. You got to have the towels that you give and the lawn chairs. You got to have the umbrellas that cover you a little bit. You got to have places to get out of the sun. And if the water's great and you can throw a football in the water for a little bit, you got a book to read. Like
just bring some stuff and then leave after an hour and a half.
2.5, 3 hours tops at a beach, I would say.
Yeah. Half.
And
half
then
that.
and the beach is great. Like that first, like if you're on vacation, you just walk along the water. That's tremendous to me.
But what if it's like 90 degrees and humid though? You're you're out.
No, then it sucks. And then especially if you're up like in Lake Superior where the water is still so cold you can't go in it.
That's what I mean. The excitement in your voice about a beach. I'm like, wait a minute. You complain when it's like over 65 degrees.
You know, one of the biggest issues I have on the beach these days, I like to throw a football around, right? On the beach. It's fun. You throw a football. My wife has a cannon for an arm. Just a cannon. It's one of the reasons I fell in love with her. I thought, boy, the offspring, this will work. And so, it was like July. It was like 10 years ago, this July 4th, actually. We're out at a barbecue at somebody's house, and she's got a full-size football, like throwing it 20-yard spiral, and I'm like, holy smokes, this is great. But on a beach in the wind, I got, I've had some shoulder issues, whatever. And if I'm into the wind, I've got like this wounded duck Nerf football, and then she's just rifling it, and like everybody watching is like, what's wrong with this dude? So that's my only issue.
Did you say that while you were like getting ready to throw the ball? Like, oh man, this shoulder.
No, what I make is turn around.
Al Bundy.
I make her throw into the wind, and I throw the wind at my back, so it looks like I have the better arm. That is a story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington and downtown Lansing. An incredible place for beer after work, brunch on the weekends, and just a burger and a meal and a date night anytime you want. They have fantastic specials every week, and they've got a burger special going on now that looks amazing. And also on Tuesdays, Trivia Tuesdays at 8 p.m. 7 p.m. and one at 8 p.m. Trivia Tuesdays each Tuesday at Midtown Brewing Company. Put a team together, hang out at Midtown Brewing Company, have a great meal, have a beer, play some trivia. Go to midtownbrewing.net to learn more.
Cinemod next. Number 1, LA Country Club is a Mickey Mouse course for a U.S. Open. Low scores, no fans, 80-yard par threes. Let's not have it here again. 2, The Sopranos is a better show than The Wire. And 3, troughs are ass.
I'm going to disagree on troughs, but you know that. I have no problem with The Sopranos. If somebody like Sopranos is like a top 5 show all time. I think The Wire is too, right?
I love The Sopranos, but there was the Tim Finnerty season where
Tony
was going in and out of consciousness in the hospital was ass. So, and the last episode for The Sopranos,
the one thing I think, to your point, Jason, about The Sopranos is it came about in an era of TV when in this country we didn't know to just wrap a show on a predetermined amount of time. Like, hey, this is a 4-season run. This is whatever, a 5-season run. If things were popular, we milked it for money, like we've been doing with Grey's Anatomy for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like
is that show still on?
I think it might still be on
after The Equalizer.
Yeah, something like that.
Matt Venny next. Number 1, despite the criticism for Mel Tucker's recent recruiting, his ability to have recruited and retain high-level talent on the offensive line, D-line, and QB gives his program hope in the long run. 2, when you convince yourself chips and salsa is healthy, it becomes one of the best between-meal snacks, not named Groovy Donuts.
Incredible.
And 3, being able to eat a fresh Hot Pocket without burning your mouth is a sign you've both succeeded and failed at life.
Because you're eating a Hot Pocket, right? But not burning your mouth. I get it. Yeah.
But if you're hungry and then you try to wait the right amount of time and then you can't.
I haven't had a Hot Pocket in 15, 20 years, but I used to love them.
There was one here right now.
Yeah, I would totally.
Hot
Pocket.
My
God, I would.
Middle school, that's what I lived on.
Yeah, no,
Single dad. Firing up some Hot Pockets. Treese. Oh, hey, Treese next. Number 1, loving concert life, but traffic at Pine Knob was absolutely insane. Their suggestion to get there early to watch the opening act is a rage trigger. MFs, that's what we were trying to do. It shouldn't take 2+ hours to go 2 miles. Yes, we went the secret way. Yes, still fired up.
Therese, I love it.
See, now this is what's great. Like, Treese I get this passion for a lot of things. And she looks at me like, why are you getting so amped?
Yeah.
So it was nice watching her get as animated as I get about something. So I was like, yeah, I wasn't getting as pissed off as she were, but she was.
And places like Pine Knob need to remember this. People remember how you make them feel. People remember experiences. And if something is a pain in the ass to do, A, you're less likely to go again. B, it takes away from the experience if you're sitting in traffic for 2 hours. Like, that is something that is worth cleaning up on your end.
Yeah, but Kim Klein, to sit there and your reaction to it is to go, wow, maybe you should get there earlier. You're not even admitting that there's an issue with getting into your establishment at all. That's what pissed me off the most. Nick Palmer, next. Number 1, Pistons need to trade back. 2, Cade Cunningham is 1 injury away from the Grant Hill comparisons. And 3, Zion is officially overrated.
Don't do the Cade Cunningham injury thing. But Zion, it'll be interesting to see if Zion moves.
Apparently he's going to.
It sounds
That's
like
what Bill Simmons said.
I heard that.
Apparently New Orleans, they don't like him there. I don't know.
It's interesting. I should talk to my guy, Jasper Bibbs, who went to
name dropper.
Well, he went to Sexton and Okemos, and he was Zion's primary trainer this past year. He's not anymore. But he was.
I would hope not. It's not a good look.
It's not great.
But
a lot of him getting in shape was Jasper working with him constantly. And he'd been at the Utah Jazz previously before that and briefly at LSU.
But if you're New Orleans, though, you passed on Ja, which I understand back in the day when the draft
you had
happened.
to take Zion.
Yeah, I guess.
You had to take Zion because still Zion.
You couldn't talk about it, though?
What's
like
that?
even back during the draft, I'm like, you can't even have a discussion if you're number one of New Orleans. I know.
Well, Josh got his own shit going on now.
I'd rather deal with Josh shit than eating yourself out of the NBA.
Totally. And Zion is one of those guys, from talking to Jasper, that he's going to have, I mean, you know, he's like me. He's going to have to monitor that dude. You know, the difference between me and Zion.
He's you with $250 million.
Well, the difference between me and Zion is if you gave me that contract and those, and I loved, you know, I could prevent myself from eating myself out of the league.
I mean, Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair.
The difference is at night, instead of playing basketball, I'm like transcribing notes, which I hate more than anything in the world. And so I procrastinate and I go eat. But if you told me you're going to play hoops, I would not eat myself out of the league.
Corey Ostrom next. Number 1, the Pistons will trade down and receive a significant 3-and-D guy. 2, MSU will blow David Stone away this weekend, picking up his pledge and setting off a domino effect of pledges. 3, nobody lives up north anymore. Every home is an Airbnb. Not good for anyone or the economy.
I hope not. And yeah, that doesn't work either because eventually everything will just be so cheap. And people should want to live up north. I want to live up north eventually. Like up north is like, when you live in Michigan, the idea of up north, it's just paradise, right? Up north, that's the idea. Whatever's up there is amazing.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But if depends on what season it is. If it's winter and they talk about 20 below zero, some of those places up north.
I can get cozy, I think. I think I could do it.
All right. Gavin next. Number 1, the Pistons will take Oscar Thompson with the 5th pick in Thursday night's NBA draft, and he'll prove to be the most league-ready player out of this year's draft class. 2, the Tigers' young core of Torkelson, Green, Carpenter, and potentially Jace Jung will prove to be a top 5 core in Major League Baseball within the next 1 to 2 seasons. Seeing Torkelson turn it on within these past few weeks has made it fun to tune into Tigers games. 3, MSU football, led by Caton Hauser at quarterback, will exceed expectations, winning anywhere from 7 to 9 games. Defensive improvements and new faces on the offensive line will lead to wins against teams like Maryland and Indiana. That last year's team couldn't get it done.
Beating Maryland and Indiana though alone might not be enough to get you to 6. So that's the one thing. You
were talking about Maryland, being a toss up.
Yeah, I think it's very much a toss up. I hope I do not want them to take Thompson. I don't know. Do you have a guy you want the Pistons to draft?
Some gangly fat kid from Serbia.
That's really
look for one of those.
Yeah,
at 5. I don't know. Let's take a flyer.
Well, no, I understand the Cam Whitmore is the guy I've liked. I've heard some reports that he's dropped a little bit.
It won't be Cam Whitmore.
Because they'll never take the guy you want. Yeah, it's just the way the Pistons got to be smarter. And look, in Troy, I do trust to a certain degree. I hope you're right, Gavin, on the Tigers. There have been, I really like what we're seeing a little bit out of Torkelson and Carpenter and
Miggy. I guess it seems like every time he gets a hit, I'm like, oh, there's another month of Miggy.
He's not part of the future, but you get Green back, and all of a sudden that's a really nice trio.
Neurotic pants. Number 1, MSU football would finish top 5 in the ACC. 2, the MSU commits over the past few days are meaningless as morning dew before the sun. They won't last. And 3, caffeine is life.
I do love a good coffee or 3 before 10 a.m. I don't think the pledges are meaningless, but as we talked about earlier, it is just simply you have to understand the situation now and think of it differently. And if you think of it differently and you don't assume, I think it's the verbiage, it's the terms we use. You didn't land anybody because you don't have them yet. Like we gotta change the words we use. Still important that they say they're coming. Still important that you get them on campus. Still important to recruit them. This is you can't do it all through the transfer portal. This is still the talent acquisition part of this whole thing. But so it's not that they're meaningless. It's just different.
Matt C. next. Number 1, recruiting coverage is dead with the transfer rule. Commitments mean nothing if the player can leave in a year. 2, any fan who accepts less than 7 to 8 wins this year in football is soft. Either Tuck can coach or he can't. We should see positive signs this year.
Well, there should be signs from the staff, and there should be signs up front. I would argue that the offensive line now has had a little bit of time to, it's still not entirely your recruits, but you should start to see something in the line of scrimmage. The defense should start to see something, I think, in terms of depth, for sure. I just don't know if 7 and 8 accepts less than 7 and 8 wins. If they win 6 this year, and next year they win 9, everybody's gonna be fine. It's sort of like the Lions conversation. If eventually it happens, like a year from now,
about fine.
No,
yeah,
you won't be
6 wins, and then next year, I don't know, the year after 9. It'll be like, all right, there's progress.
To the recruiting coverage point, I think what's important too is for you to decipher what's real and what isn't, and to level things are important, because you're not going to get it like the sites that cover recruiting. This is their bread, but this is their business. This is their livelihood. 24/7 and Rivals and On3, they are going to pump it up like forever, like it's always been. And so you have to understand that they are part propaganda, part news, because their business is to make these things very important, even though, and they are important to a degree, but they're not going to. Nobody's going to lead a story at 24/7 or On3 saying, well, this guy may transfer out anyway, but he's on campus today. That just doesn't produce subscriptions or enthusiasm. But so it's important to just remember that.
John, next, number 1, set up 2 TVs and you will be amazed how frequently you use both. I enjoy golf and soccer on Sunday night. All right. 2, the MSU podcast with Chris and Matt was good. The 2 come across as likable guys too. There's another MSU podcast?
It was a podcast by somebody at MSU who had Chris and Matt on. It was about journalism and all this stuff.
Oh,
I have not listened yet, but plan to.
Notes?
I hear from Chris and Matt enough that I don't know if I can stand their voice. No, I'm just
don't
kidding.
Need to hear it.
I will listen. I've probably had all these conversations with them at the bar too at some point.
3, the articles on Mahdi were inspiring and well worth the wait.
And they came in droves. That's what happens when you have a group interview.
Oh, I need to read that.
Yeah, Solari's is really good. My only, Solari's is really, really good, and he made some extra calls that added to it. And the problem with the way it was set up is that by the time his came out on Monday, like, it didn't do readership-wise as well. It did well, but not as well as it should have. And that, I don't know. I don't know. I'm glad Mahdi's story came out, and a lot of people got to tell it. Sometimes the advantage of having one person tell it doesn't need to be me or anybody else, is that person, though, has time to really do it well, and then everybody reads that instead of a lot of people won't read the best version of it. Not to say Chris's was the best version of it. I will fix this in post. This is
well, back to his number 1, John's number 1, though. If you watch sports, I think you have to have 2 TVs in your viewing area. Well, because you can get another 32-inch whatever kind of TV for under $200, right?
And he's responding to a tweet that I had complaining about streaming. This was Sunday night with the soccer and golf.
Yeah.
Where and it's true. Like I brought out for the relegation Sunday and the Premier League, I brought out 3 TVs to watch the 3 games that matter, and it was fantastic.
Or if I want to watch the Tigers game, I put it on the smaller TV. T can watch something up there, and it's on. So.
At some point, I'm going to need. Elizabeth does not want 2 TVs in the living room, like as a setup. She doesn't like the look. So,
well, you don't have to keep
you just
them there.
Bring it out, right? Yeah. And I should have just done that. But I was just saying that in the old days, it's golf especially. Golf is a great sport to flip on and off, right? Because it moves slow, and so I felt like it would have been really nice to be able to flip.
Joshua, next, number 1, Isiah Thomas scammed Ishbia into another front office job. Can't believe he got him to ship off CP3 for a bad Beal contract. Or is Chris Paul stirring up shit by dropping Isaiah's name? 2, why hasn't Roku or whoever figured out to easily flip streaming services? It should just be like the multitasking feature on your phone. Just pull up a recently used app and have it load whatever I was watching before I switched. And yet multiple TVs, yada, but sometimes I just don't want to see ads. 3, Tigers better not tank and trade away pieces for non-existent future assets. They got to try to win the division. And bonus for BQ. Why isn't golf streamed on 1 channel per tournament like the U.S. Open? I hate having to go to 3 places to watch a single day of coverage.
Streaming complaints. Yeah, no, I'm with you. These are good, Joshua.
The golf is ass though.
Yeah.
Like on Thursday, you got to watch USA, and then at 1:00, flip it.
Yeah. No, it's not done well. We're sort of in this transition. So I think in 10 years we'll have it figured out because only some of these streaming places are going to survive. Peacock. Cable will look different, whatever, or maybe just the youngest millennials will come up with an idea that they won't call cable, but it'll be cable, but they'll think they came up with something, and we'll just bundle it all, and it'll all be there for us. That would be fantastic. Look, what happened to Matt Ishbia is explainable, Joshua. He is a 45-year-old man from Michigan, and I guarantee you most 45-year-old man from Michigan.
Yeah, but is he going to have Barry Sanders up there too? I mean, just his childhood heroes.
Yeah, but like Barry's different. Barry, I mean, if Barry here, I would go, "Aw, shucks," and blush if Barry was here. But Barry didn't have, like, Isiah has that smile. Isiah is just different. Like when Isiah cried on Magic's shoulder in that documentary special they did, I mean, I was just almost in tears too. Like Isiah, if you are somebody who grew up in the bad boy era, Isiah has you by the balls.
But didn't it when he was on, I forget what show, and he saw the picture they were using and got pissed off, I kind of was like, man, don't get me wrong. I love Isiah, always will, as a bad boy, but some of the stuff off the court, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry to shit on your dream, but anyway.
No, yeah, but again, if Isiah was here, I'd give him anything out he wanted.
JD next, number 1. Peacock should pay Tony Dombrowski for his drop to be played every time you open the app. Subscriptions would soar. 2, string cheese tastes the best when you bite it. I will die on this hill. And 3, 2019 MSU basketball doesn't beat Duke if Jaren Jackson Jr. had stayed at MSU.
These are really good from JD, also worthy of gift cards. What I like especially is the hill he's dying on, but then also sort of a what if. And I'm still very much contemplating a what if series this summer. If I can work it into
on string cheese?
No, but on like the greatest what ifs in MSU history. But this is sort of one the other way. Whereas, if Jaren Jackson's there against Zion, it's not as good as Tillman. It would have, in that moment. Now, they probably would have been the 1 seed. So that wouldn't have, you know what I mean? Like that would not have. It would have been a whole different year. They might not have played Duke, but I see what you're saying, that you can have this situation where that matchup may not have favored Michigan State, and that can be something you just sort of put out there, and it's something to think about. That year, the way it all unfolded, the way it worked for Xavier Tillman and for that team, and the chemistry wound up being perfect. But they also probably would have beaten Texas Tech the next round if they did have Jaren Jackson Jr.
Chris Eastlick next, number 1. Graham did softball work out last week. Is he taking credit for it?
Well, I reached out to him concerned about the weather.
Also, I'm happy to keep helping if it did. It'll only cost you $1.99 for 12 months and requires a blood sample and a Facebook to sign into your account. 2,
very Gannett-like, yeah.
Slowly dying in a thrown-together mini submarine trying to visit the Titanic seems like a terrible way to go out. And 3, Hope Rube enjoyed Fenway. Great park. Even growing up as a Yankee – oh, my God, he's a Yankee fan too. Even growing up as a Yankee fan, touring that park was a cool experience, and seeing the locker Jeter always used was cool. Hope that admission doesn't get me banned from the pod. Maybe worse than being a Tottenham fan.
Nothing's worse than being a Tottenham fan. Yankee fans aren't – it doesn't make you cool, that's for sure. But the Jeter connection, Kalamazoo and all. You know how many different Little League coaches that Jeter had in Kalamazoo?
17.
497 who claim to be his Little League coach. It's pretty remarkable how many people you run into who are his Little League coach in Kalamazoo. These are really good from Chris. The couple things. One, my wife yesterday said that is how she wants. She's a huge fan of Titanic. Like
she wants to go out that way.
Like if there's a way to die, I don't know if in that tiny
don't want to die
mini
that way.
Submarine sounds awful, but
first of all, it wasn't a submarine. It was some shit that looked like I put together.
I know it's
with
not
a
good.
Fucking PlayStation controller.
It's not good.
It's not how you want to go down. I get it.
But she did make the statement that that's how she wanted to die. So
in a tin can.
She loves Titanic. Like it's an emotional experience for her.
Has she seen what the inside of that thing looked like though?
I don't know if she had at the time that she's made that comment to
me.
And
you're worth $1 billion, and you can't come up with. I don't get it.
But also, softball did work out. Rain held off. Magical game. Great game. We ended up losing at the end, but it was a lot of fun. And Chris, you get credit for that. I appreciate you.
Couch on fire next. Number 1, Mickey keeps this up and might lead to the team might lead the team in batting average, which tells you a lot. 2, Michigan fans giddy over a couple of 3-star pledges. Am I missing something? And 3, Twitter breaking news. MSU gets a transfer long snapper. I'm sorry, but I just can't.
The long snapper excitement is always hard to get juiced over. I will say this: the trouble they had at long snapper last year, though, it might make it more important. When you don't have a long snapper, you realize how important they are, or at least a competent one. The thing about the Michigan fans and 3-star recruits, I'm not sure who they just landed, but every fan base everywhere, their guys they're going to be excited about, because you want to be excited about your guys. You're gonna tell yourself this is great, and a lot of these guys do work out, because ultimately what's happening, no matter the star level or the pedigree, is a recruit is choosing your school, and that feels good, and so they're one of you, and you're welcoming them, and that's just human nature, and it's natural.
Chris, next, number 1. I've been impressed with Jason's improvement in hosting, notably with his pronunciations. Thanks, man. 2, as someone who watches the Bundesliga and is a fan of Borussia Mönchengladbach, I'm quite nervous of losing Marcus Thuram, Rami Babi, and Manu Kwadwa Kone this offseason.
Well done, Chris. And well done, Jason. You nailed it. I think you got it all.
Sound right.
Yeah.
Fart soup, number 1. Filling out immigration papers is ass. 2, having the same birthday as my wife is both awesome and ass. Every year it seems to be her birthday.
Yeah.
So how is it awesome at all? Because he said it can be both awesome and ass. It sounds just like complete ass.
Well, unless you're like me and you don't care about your birthday, or your wife, because it's also your birthday, it becomes a fun night. I don't know.
Boy, what a white knight situation for you, though, if you had the same birthday as your wife. Like, let's celebrate you this year.
Yeah, you can do.
Let's co-presents in your birthday.
The immigration papers, are you getting a new wife, like a mail order? Is this a replacement because of the birthday situation?
Attaboy.
Yeah, that's, I don't know.
I have the same birthday as a brother-in-law, and that's ass, so I can imagine. Hans Jurgen next. Number 1, my bathroom window is too low, and everyone can see my schlong when I pee. 2, thank you, YouTube TV, for doing something my mom could never do, reduce my TV viewership. And 3, I'm grateful that Graham would be comfortable with my company in the pee trough. I hope he likes to sword fight. And bonus, being an ass clown is unfortunately not profitable.
It is not. It is not profitable. Yeah,
I feel that. Jerk guy. End this. Number 1, it may be time to burn it all down and start over. 2, I think the Lions can win the North, so I'm a sucker again. 3, human consciousness has an effect on the universe through quantum mechanics. I believe you.
Yeah, Elon was on the old app yesterday, replying to Joe Rogan, and it got weird. It was not a great day for the old app. It was. What
did I miss?
It's some anti-vax stuff. Yeah, just like, man, just own the damn thing and stay the hell away, man. You're not helping. You're not helping anything. We're all suckers for the Lions. I think we're all willing to do it. We're all ready for it. We've braced ourselves. Jason's alive inside. We're there. We appreciate all of you for producing our show and for all of your hot takes. Fantastic stuff. As always, thanks to Brendan Quinn for his conversation and knowledge on the U.S. Open. That was a lot of fun to do. We appreciate Skymint Premium Cannabis. Go to skymint.com for location information and daily specials. Thanks to Muskox. You can go to gomuskox.com and order your flannel today. Great summer offerings, lighter flannels, very comfortable. And use the promo code CAWCAW15 for $15 off. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. We'll be back sometime after the NBA draft. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.